Hello, this will be a video that's going over 1 and 2 step equations, solving them. So when you're solving an equation, you want to kind of think of it two ways. Any number that's on the same side as the variable, you're either going to make it a 0 or 1. So kind of keeping that in mind, we're trying to figure out exactly what x is. So looking at the first one on here, we're saying 2 minus 5 times some number is equal to 12. Now you could sit here and guess, like already I'm thinking if it's 2 minus 5 times a number, it's got to be negative because I got a negative times negative to get a positive in order to change that subtraction sign to an addition. But another way, if you're trying instead of guessing check, is you can use solving strategies in order to kind of isolate the variable. So looking at the side, we're looking at 2 minus 5x. We have to get rid of the 2 and also that minus 5. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to get rid of this 2. And we're going to do that by zeroing it out. If it's not attached to the number, we want to make it 0. So I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides. And then if you like kind of keep your sides separated, that would be 12 minus 2, which simplifies to 10. Now this here has turned into 0, so all we have left is a negative 5x. Then from there, to get x by itself, we want to make this negative 5, since it's currently attached to the x. The way we're going to get rid of it is we're going to turn it into a 1. That way we get 1x, which is the same thing as x. So the way we can do that, you might think is to add 4, but kind of going back to last unit, you can't combine these two terms because those are 1s, the 4, and then the negative 5 is with x's. So instead, we're going to divide it off. So if we divide both sides by negative 5, and then we get x equals negative 2. We can do a quick check on that. And if we do 2 minus 5 times negative 2, we can see if it equals 12. So just taking our value here and plugging it back in up here. So we get 2 minus negative 10, or just 2 plus 10, which is correct. So therefore, we verified that the missing number was negative 2. So sometimes you might get a little bit more complicated one with like a fraction. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to look at the side with the variable first. And on that side, we're going to go ahead and isolate it by getting rid of the non-connected number. So I'm going to first zero this out. So plus 4, they're going to be negative 6. And then we just have a positive 2/3 x left. In order, currently it's 2/3 x, which means you can even think kind of the way multiplication works, 2/3 of x gives you negative 6. So x is going to be kind of a number further from 0, a larger negative number still. So we're going to turn the 2/3, this number, into a 1. And the way we can do that is just by multiplying by its reciprocal. 3/2 times 2/3 is 6/6, or just 1. So we're going to multiply both sides by 2/3. That'll be x equals negative 6 times 3. Negative 18 divided by 2 is negative 9. And again, you can go back and check your answer by plugging in negative 4 plus 2/3 times negative 9. You should get negative 10. So negative 4 plus, that would be negative 6 equals negative 10, which is true. So you can always plug in your answers and check. All right, I'm going to do kind of actually just one more of these, this one, and then I'll do one that looks a little bit strange. So for this problem here, again, we're going to look at the side with the variable. Now sometimes, let me just kind of rework this problem a little bit. Yeah, because we've done all the ones where the variable's on the other side. So just don't mind me kind of moving things around. So if we move this around here, like this, and I can cut this and move it back up here. Okay, perfect. So if we do that here, okay, so you want to still look at the side with the variable. Now it's to the right of the equal sign, that's okay. And then we're going to subtract we're going to zero the 5 out. So again, we're going to subtract 5 from both sides. If it was negative, we would add it. That's going to be negative 14 equals, and that's going to turn to a 0, but we're still left with a negative x over 2. There's a couple ways you could deal with this. You could multiply by 2. You could multiply by negative 2. I'm going to multiply by negative 2 first. That way it's going to get rid of the negative as well. So currently it's x over 2, and you can think of that as really just 1/2 x. So if I multiply it by 2, and you can even kind of do 2 over 1, I'll just multiply by the positive. These will cross simplify to 1 over 1, and you're left with just a negative x on the right side and negative 28 on the left. This feels finished, but it's not. You have to either kind of think logically about the problem, a negative x equaling negative 28, therefore a positive x would equal a positive 28, or you could also divide by negative 1. So either one of that logic or also dividing it off. So there's our answer there. And again, we can check it. I'm just going to do a quick check in my head. 28 divided by 2, well, that would be 14. 5 minus 14 is in fact negative 9. The last kind of problem that we're going to solve is ones where the adding and subtracting are above a number, so they're in the numerator. So for this kind of problem, you want to think of this whole thing as being divided by 2, because that's what's happening. And even if you did the order of operations, you would subtract and then divide. So we need to actually get rid of this 2 first, and we can do that simply again. Remember, it's kind of like 1/2. You could even rewrite it if you want to be very fancy. You could write it like that. Those are equivalent. So we're going to multiply by 2 over 1 first on both sides, and that again will simplify out. Once the denominator is 1, you don't have to write it anymore. And then we would just add 5 to both sides to zero out the 5. All right, hopefully this was helpful. Thank you so much for watching.